Ugh, that's cold. Need another coffee. I've filed and sanded the inlays flush with the fretboard, giving it a quick smooth over. I've gone down to probably about, I think that was about 300-400 grit. It's nice. But I've also opened up all of the stainless tubes with a 3.2mm drill bit, and I've taken that all the way through the back, because I'm going to be putting these LEDs in here. So I've got to have a bit of a figure out, mess about with the arrangement, see where I'm going to put them, where I can run all the wires, and hopefully I can figure all of that out and make it work. So I'm going to have a look at that now. I'm going to start by laying out the LEDs in the holes and just see how they fit. The legs on LEDs are two slightly different lengths. The longer of the two goes to the positive side of the battery, and the shorter is obviously the ground. I'm orienting these so that all of them are the same way around. The positive side is closer to the nut. That just makes it a bit easier for me to figure out where things are going and to wire them later on. LEDs need a resistor to not burn out very quickly, so I'll have to solder one of these to, I'm going to go to each of the LEDs, so I'm going with the built-in redundancy thing again. If a resistor blows and it blows the LED, then I lose one LED, I don't lose the entire neck. I think I'm going to run 2 wires straight up the middle of this fretboard, one live, one neutral, so I can just jump these over each one that it doesn't need to be attached to and wire it to the one that it does need to be attached to. So if I do some more measuring, we will figure out exactly where things need to be, and it should work, hopefully, in theory. I've had a look in my inlay box because I thought I had some copper wire. I've got this. It's probably about 1 millimeter thick. I don't know what gauge that is. It's rigid enough that it'll hold its shape. Obviously solid copper, so it'll conduct, and I can solder to it. I think if I run this as my main power wires, then I'll still have to find a way to attach this end to the battery, but we'll get there. For now, I think that's going to work quite nicely. So I think to cut these channels I'm going to use a combination of methods. Probably a mixture of scalpels, chisels and my Dremel, just to try and get it as close as I can. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it does have to sit deep enough to not interfere with a glue up or the truss rod or the carbon fibre. Also, essentially this face, when it's done, still needs to be perfectly flat. may notice I've gone quite a long way back past the 3rd fret towards the nut. I am planning to see if I can put an LED in the headstock behind the logo. I don't know whether it's going to work, but I'm going to make sure that I've got the wires run close enough to give it a go at least. I started one of the wire channels using chisel, and I realised that it was going to take forever because I need to go quite deep, so I've grabbed the Dremel out instead. I'm on to the second one. I've marked the edges with a scalpel just so I don't get any tear out around the edges and I get a nice neat channel, so I'm going to start doing that now. I need to do it in a few passes because I've got to go a lot deeper than the Dremel will do in one go, so I'm just going to keep on going. Bit of tidying up on there and we should be able to start running some wires. Ugh, that's cold. Need another coffee. I managed to take away minimal amount of material. The bulk is removed where the fretboard is thickest, and obviously I'll fill as much of this as I can once everything's in place, just to re-solidify it all. I need to start thinking about how I'm going to run some wires. The two main power wires are held in with masking tape. I've got those in place. I now need to start laying out some of the LEDs, attaching some resistors, and just getting the wires where I need them before I solder anything in place finally. So I'm going to start just doing that, get all the LEDs and resistors together, trim up the wires and get them ready to go now. It's a little bit fiddly, but I figured out if I've drilled a hole in this end block here just to put the LED in, that just holds it in place. I can attach the resistor quite easily and then chuck it out of the way and move on to the next one. I need to use heat shrink tubing on these to just help insulate them from the various wires that they're not supposed to touch. So what I need to do is measure each one individually and put the correct bit of tubing on, and then heat it up, shrink it down, and then attach it to the various bits. The first thing I need to do though is figure out which is going to be live, positive, and which is going to be negative.
think for ease of running the wires, I'm going to have positive side over here, negative over here. We're all wired up. Nothing's fixed in place, so we're going to have to test it. That's looking pretty good from the back. Let's have a look from the front. Yeah. The rings will all get filled with either epoxy or super glue to just smooth them off, but that's looking amazing. Everything will be stuck in place, but I'm going to cut the taper into the fretboard and get some binding on here probably before I actually glue these lights in the back. But that's looking fantastic. I like that.